Right. So this is how you would start using Indeed to start sourcing and screening and assessing candidates. Great. So we start off by logging on to indeed.co.in, and you just click on the employers post a job section. Once you do that, you have to enter your company name, address. I'm using a dummy email address. Uh, and you click on sign up. Once that happens, you will be prompted. Sorry, I used the wrong email ID. Just give me a second, please. Sorry, just bear with me for a second. Okay. So as I was saying, you click on post a job if you're signed in. If you're not signed in, you'll have to create an account. It's very simple. And then you can start posting a job on Indeed immediately. It's really simple. It's just 4 easy steps to start sourcing candidates. Your company name and your location will automatically be filled. Just one point to remember, the location is the location of the job, not where you are located. So if it's not where you are located, you should change that. Then enter in the details of the job title. As you see, as I typed in Java, a bunch of options showed up, which are very common titles, job titles for this specific type of job. So you can choose it and make your life much easier. Just click on Java developer and click continue. And now you're in second step of the job thing. Here, you just have to fill in a lot of details about the job, but it's very simple, very intuitive, very straightforward. First of all, like what type of employment is it? Is it full-time, part-time, either full-time or part-time? Considering the current situation, maybe you might be looking for part-time employees as well as full-time. So you could put both, you can choose either option in this case. And if it's part-time, there are different types of contracts where it's temporary, it's a volunteer contract, it's an internship. You can choose whichever one of these options meets your requirements. Then you can enter the salary. Now, you can enter the exact salary, but I know a lot of organizations are not very comfortable sharing with that. So you can also put a range of salaries depending on the type of role. So you can put the range for, in this case, I'm just entering some numbers. And this will be annual salary for the person. Now, at Indeed, we always recommend putting in the salaries. There's a reasoning behind this, and it's that many times a lot of people do not apply for a job if they it might apply for a job not knowing how much the pay is. If their CTC is higher or their CTC is much higher, then you will be talking to a lot of irrelevant candidates. So by putting in the range, you make sure that only the relevant candidates would apply for that role. Then you can decide how you want to receive this application. It's pretty straightforward. You can choose either email or in person. Hope if you click on in person, you have to put in an address and it'll show up here. So you can put whatever address you want. But of course, in these days for the foreseeable future, we will be focused on getting our applications via email, obviously. So once you select email, you just check if the email ID is accurate. Now, there's a very cool feature here called add additional email. Now, there are couple of reasons where you use it. For example, if you have to take some time away from office because of the current situation, you can make sure that the job openings still gets response, the job application still get responses. So you can add the email of a colleague, or if you're both working on the same role, you can add that person's as well. After that, you choose how you'd like to be informed when someone applies for the job. Now you can choose individually, which means every time someone applies for the job, you will get an alert and you will get an email. Now, If you're trying to close your role really fast and you're trying to source as many people as quick as possible, I would recommend using individual. That's where speed matters. But some jobs, some roles can get a lot of applications in a day. So I would, in those cases, I would recommend choosing the daily option, where you would get a digest of all the applications at once per day. So if you have a role that gets a lot of interest, you don't want to clog up your email inbox, that's perfectly fine. You can choose this option. I personally would choose daily because if my email inbox gets clogged up, it can be hard to operate for me. Then you want to select if you want applicants to submit a resume. Yes, if you don't need a resume, which is rare, but you can also choose that option. Or you can also put in optional. Here, I'm just going to put yes as the option, just making sure. And finally, the last part of step 3, where you have to enter a job description. This you can type it out or you can copy paste it. And as I said, if you have the job description with you ready and you copy paste it, you can be very quickly posting jobs on Indeed. So it's really simple to get to this stage, and you just click on continue to proceed. Now we're on step 3 of 4, and step 3 is really interesting. Step 3 is interesting because of the fact that we can use this to screen candidates. So this is the screener questions section of Indeed's posting a job. You can ask a lot of questions to the candidates to verify if they have done this role before, or just to question. So what this will do is you ask these questions, and in the back end, you will see how many of the candidates who applied meet all your requirements or only meet some of your requirements. Hold on, some people are posting on the chat. Yes, just I'll come back to the questions. So as you can see here, when you post a job, and if you choose a role, depending on the role that you've selected, it'll automatically throw up a few questions for you to use. So you can say, I need someone with a minimum of 2 years Spring experience, or minimum of 4 years total work experience, and some minimum experience for JSP. Right now, I just want total work and about 3 years of JSP experience, and I want someone with a minimum level of education. You can add a preset list of screener questions. Unfortunately, right now we don't have custom questions, but you can ask them questions regarding experience, their licenses and certifications that they have, the location that they are situated and where they're willing to work, the languages they speak, their availability for shifts, their willingness to travel, the documentation that you require, the expected CTC, and the programming languages they know. I'm just going to add one question here about expected CTC. I think that's a great question to ask in any job posting you're putting up, mainly because people will then share what they hope to make, and you don't have to waste time on candidates who applied for jobs who may not be relevant to you because they have a very high expectation for CTC and you have a fixed budget. But their applications will still come in, and in case you can want to consider them, you can. Now, after you ask these screener questions, there's a very cool way to filter out those who don't fit your requirements at all. So we have an automatic screening filter. So if you remember, when in the last step, I said you can get all these applications via email and you'll be notified every time someone applies. If you clicked on this part where you say, yes, help me save time, you will only be notified when the person who's applied meets all the questions, meets all your requirements through the screener question. And if you say no, notify me only when of all applications, that's also an option. Just to note, if you click yes, doesn't mean they will not be allowed to apply. They will be allowed to apply. It's just that you won't be notified. You can still view their application in the back end if required. The second part of step 3 is also something very useful for a lot of job openings. This is called the automated skills assessment. Now, Indeed has a product that is built in directly into our job posting. It's called Indeed Assessments. So you can actually send a quiz to the people who are applying for the job, and you can ask them to apply for that quiz. And depending on how well they have done their quiz, they will be stack ranked in the back end of in our small ATS. They will be stack ranked basis their scoring on this quiz. Now, typically what we throw up is basis the role that you're looking for, we suggest a few quizzes, but there are several more quizzes available from which you can choose. In this case, I am going to choose attention for detail. If you don't want to choose an assessment, that option also exists. You can just click on this one. I do not want to send an assessment. But in this case, we can choose either, I think we can choose the project management skills. Time management is a very key factor for a lot of software developers, and maybe that's what we want to test. So we click on that, click on continue, and that's it. We're ready to start posting the job. This is the preview page, the last step 4. You can see how the job will look on desktop. You can see how the job will look on the mobile phone, so that you can check this. This is your opportunity to see if everything that you put is correct, is accurate. You can edit the job at this point, even now. And finally, you check the emails are going, or if the address is correct and the resume is a required document and the assessment types, and you click continue, you will be taken to the poster job page. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second while I show the poster job page, because it's not easy to show it in this situation. So this is how the poster job page will look. You will be asked if you want to recommend, if you want to sponsor your job, you can sponsor it. But if you don't want to, you can see there's a don't optimize my job option here. You can just click on that, and then you could post your job directly for free. Everything that you put there will go on. The assessment is free. The screener questions are free. Everything is available, and it'll go live on Indeed in a few hours time, and people can start applying for your jobs. Now, I'm going to be playing a video. I'm not going to be showing a real demo, mainly because a lot of the information in the backend is confidential to a specific client, and there is a lot of private data about people also there. I'm just going to start playing this video and pause and explain. So this is typically how the back end of the ATS will look. So there is an overview tab, jobs tab, candidates, messages, career page, and campaigns. I will focus on the first 4. The overview tab essentially shows all the jobs that are there that you've posted, how many of them are open, how many of them are closed, and how many are paused. And it'll also list all the reviews, all the candidates that are applied for your jobs and their status on the job. So if I want to see what all jobs are there, I would go to the jobs tab here, click on it, and you can see all the jobs that are currently available that are open and you've posted. So these are all the jobs you would have posted on Indeed's website. This is the location for which where the job is and when it was created. This column of candidates are the number of candidates who have applied for the job. So all their applications are waiting in the candidates tab for you to have a look and assess and see if they're the right people. The views is the number of times the jobs have been seen by the number of people who've seen the job. An additional talent is our Indeed resume product, which is essentially based on the job that you've posted. We've already matched a bunch of resumes that you can click and access. Of course, for now, it is not free, so you have to pay for it. So after, as you can see, candidates, additional talent. To see the job, you go to the candidates tab, and these are all the people who applied for that job. In this case, it's the data support analyst role. If you click on that, you can change the job and see which job you're trying to close for. You'll see who all have applied. Then you can, as you can see, this is the first person who's applied, the last person who's applied for the job. The application questions is essentially the screener questions that they qualify for. So the person, this job that was posted had 4 screener questions, and Jyoti met all 4 of those requirements. So she's the most qualified candidate at this point. And you've also got her most recent. As you're going through all the candidates, you can see the application questions. And if you want to keep the person, you can review it. You can reach out to them. You can set up interviews directly through the ATS. You can make an offer. You can reject them. You can also, when you reject them, we have templates built in, which you can also add custom templates so that an automated mail is gone to the candidate to say, hey, we considered you for the role, but unfortunately you don't meet it. So we'll be rejecting your offer, your application. So you have multiple options there, and you can dispose of the candidates as and when you go through them. If an assessment had been set up that will also be a column with the scoring that they've got for the assessment, and they'll be stack ranked. You can filter these based on the number of application questions, their status. You can also by their score. Yeah. Next, you read all the back and forth emails that you're having with candidates who applied for the job. It's very simple to use. It's almost I will be able to reach out to them. The templates that you built in to send emails directly to them and reach out to them. And here, as you can see, even if you not set up a skills assessment, you can still do it at this stage. After Jyoti has applied for the job, you can choose a skill assessment to send to her. So that option still exists at this point. And you can, as I said, you can sort by all these options, the relevance and everything. So this is how the backend ATS. It's not a very complicated ATS. It's very easy to use, very simple, and it's been set up to do very few things, but it does those few things pretty well, and it helps recruiters such as yourself to quickly go through job applicants, assess them, see if they are right. And the way the system is built, it tells to float all the best candidates to the top. It will use if you use the screener questions, if you use the assessments, all of these things will make sure that the best candidates float to the top so that you can reach out to them quickly. Because it's really important, I'm sure as recruiters, you know, it's really important to reach out to these candidates as quickly as possible uh, when you're looking to close the role. I just want to end this session by saying thank you so much for taking time out of your day to log in. I hope these tools are useful and you're able to help you with your job, because at this point in time, with all the uncertainty, a lot of what we need to do is getting held up. But I hope that the services here, which are free, of course, will help you close roles as quick as possible and, you know, make things moving forward. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great day and stay safe, and stay safe with your families and stay safe at home. Thank you so much. Goodbye.